Okay, so we'll just quickly check back in with our friend Opportunity. Last week, January 24th, was the 15th anniversary of the landing of this spacecraft. It's been on the surface for over 5,000 Martian days. And just for the new people in the audience, back in May, a dust storm started on the planet. This is May of last year. And over the course of the next several weeks, the dust storm expanded into a global veil of dust. And Opportunity is a solar-powered spacecraft. And this squiggle here is the amount of power coming out of the solar panels of the spacecraft as a function of time. And you can see it's going along, they're getting good power, and then over the course of just less than a week, it drops to a very small level of power coming out of the solar panels, and the spacecraft turned itself off because there wasn't enough power to charge the onboard batteries. And this is just a simulation of what looking at the sun would be like over several days as the dust clouds started getting more and more opaque. And so here's the sun. Over here, there's something like 1/10,000th of 1% of the normal sunlight reaching the surface. And so this was the last image returned from the spacecraft. This was the middle of the day, and all they see is darkness. And so that was actually the last communication with the spacecraft on June 10th. And what we expect has happened, first of all, the sun got turned off, and so the spacecraft turned itself off to preserve what little power it had left, and almost certainly dust collected on the solar panels as the dust storm raged. And the hope was that once the dust clouds cleared out of the atmosphere, we're moving into the time of the Martian year when typically there have been dust devils in this area. And the dust devils sweep over the rover, and in the past, you get one of those things going over the top of the rover, all the dust gets blown away. It's like you got a brand spanking new set of solar panels. That's what was expected. Once the batteries get charged, it should start talking to the Earth again. And so far that has not happened. The dust storm cleared roughly October, and every day we've been listening for a signal from the rover. 600 separate times the antennas on the Earth have beamed commands to the rover saying, beep at us if you're there, and nothing has been received. And so what is happening now for the next month or so is they're, instead of just doing that simple, they call it sweep and beep, signaling the spacecraft, they're operating under the assumption that a couple things might have happened. One is that the clock on board the spacecraft has gone haywire, and so it doesn't know what time of day it is, and so it's not waking up to communicate with the Earth at the appropriate time. The other possibility is that either the receiver, the radio receiver, or the transmitters have failed. And so what they're doing is sending strings of commands to try and figure that out and to counter it. So if indeed there's a failure in the receiver or transmitter, what they're telling the spacecraft is to switch to the backup system and see if that responds. And then they keep switching back and forth. So this is sort of the last ditch effort to wake up Opportunity. If they get nothing in the next month or so, then probably for about the next year, they'll continue listening for a signal from the spacecraft, but that is a much less likely scenario for the spacecraft to actually be recoverable. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and keep updating you as time goes on.